Hey, sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to the B-Ball Breakdown live show, the last one of the 24-25 season, coming at you after the Game 7 of the NBA Finals. And as always, I'm joined by Andrew Combo Salop and the referee, Chip Clark, to discuss what happened and what we saw, our feelings, all sorts of things. It's a chance to let it out. So thank you, everyone, for being here. Chip, Combo, what do you guys think?
I thought it was pretty sad how it went down for Tyrese Halliburton. I was like, I can't believe at this moment he hit 2 or 3 really tough threes, and it was a little reminiscent for me of Kevin Durant because he had a calf strain. He came out real strong. He tore his Achilles. Tyrese Halliburton tears his Achilles, and it's just when somebody's having a moment and then they get a terrible injury like that, it's just so sad. We even seen it with Zion before versus the Lakers. Like he was having his moment and he goes down. And it's the worst injury in sports. And it was just really sad to see because I think the Pacers had a great chance to win this game if he was playing. They fought hard without him, but it just wasn't enough. But congrats to the champs.
Yeah, congrats to the champs for sure. I mean, I definitely, we don't want to use this as an excuse, but I definitely feel the game is different if Halliburton stays in, especially with the strong start that he had. 3 for 4 from 3. He hasn't gotten off to that kind of a start from behind the arc in any of these playoff games, to be honest with you. He's been kind of a closer. And so for him to get off to a hot start like that, you just really felt like the Pacers were going to have a really good chance to be in this game for the long haul. And then it's just terrible seeing that. We talk about it all the time. We knew that playing with a calf strain like this, you're susceptible to an Achilles injury like this. And we knew that. You even tweeted about it, Coach Nick. Like he knew, Halliburton knew, it happened. Yeah. And he knew it happened instantly. And so you just hate to see it. You hate to see it. But, men, listen, OKC, incredible job finishing it. Too many turnovers for Indiana tonight. I'm sure we're going to dig into all the numbers. But when you lose arguably your best player to an Achilles injury that early, and then you finish with 23 turnovers to OKC's 8, it's really, really tough to stay in a game, especially a Game 7 like that on the road. So kudos to OKC for finishing it off and becoming the champions.
Absolutely. I mean, the heartbreaking part about the Hallie thing was, yes, he knew it. He was, already like crying on the floor and you could see him say, I did it. And I'm kind of curious now. I would like to have seen what the MRI said about his calf, because, there are clear connections between calf tears, calf strains, and Achilles. The Achilles has to work more when your calf is injured that way because it doesn't have the same strength to support the chain. And I suspect that they told him that. I think that they said you could give it a go, but this is the risk. And so he probably, I guess it's up to the player at that point. At this point, of the season. But we're seeing it a little bit too often to the point where I don't know whether they should let them play in those situations. Now, in Game 6, he looked really good. And he was jumping off of that leg. And so I could easily see why he'd say to himself, well, I'm already past that. Game 7, I should be fine. In Game 6, I was fine. But it's a potential time bomb. But the other problem here is how he stepped, which is the same thing we saw with Dame. Not as much with Tatum, but with Dame for sure. Too far back behind him, straight leg plant with all the full load. And those are the things that need to be trained not to do. Mm-hmm. And to avoid, to at least mitigate it. You're not going to avoid it. It might happen. It might not. You don't know. But at least you can reduce the amount of times that you would naturally do it that far back. And here's the weird thing. I was just working with this yesterday with my high school players that I work with on Saturdays. And I spent, 15, 20 minutes almost the whole time just talking to them through it and explaining why you can't have your foot in that position, why you want to have it turned, why you don't want to load and have your heel go all the way down. So, and I told him, I said, you're not going to tear your Achilles at age 15 or 16, but let's get you in a good situation now where when you get to 25 or 30 or 30, whatever, you're not going to later. So we need to have a push for that because this is happening too often. And I feel like there's not enough people who understand how that all works together.
Well, I know Pacers fans were in a bad place after Game 5. And then hearing about, the calf strain and all that stuff, you saw a lot of Pacers fans online talking about just hold him out. Don't even play him in games. Don't even play him the rest of the series if he got this calf strain. We don't want to risk injury and risk his future and stuff like that. So even Pacers fans were saying that. Maybe that's because they were down bad after the loss in Game 5. But it seemed like a lot of them were reasonable in saying that. You can't keep a gamer like that off the court, though. You know, it's really, really difficult. If he can go at all, he's going to want to go. And so either it takes somebody in the room stepping up and saying, no, you're not going to, but I don't know how you do that. You know, like it's the finals, you know, so it's just a really unfortunate thing to happen.
Right. But made worse by he's going to be missed. He'll miss all of next year.
Yep.
A lot of it probably, but I would also say he'll have less regrets than if he didn't play. So
okay,
it's probably
good point.
You know, he would have really regretted this if he didn't play. So I think even if he could go back in time, he would have played this game, and any champion would. And he played like a champion throughout the course of the playoffs.
Right.
Absolutely.
Which then becomes a question of like, okay, whose decision is it going to be? I mean, ultimately, I suppose it's the player, but you know, at some point, if you have to have a, you know, this is an asset that you have to invest.
Yeah, you have to protect.
Put it that way, but you know, and who knows? I mean, people are coming back pretty close to 100% from this, which is good, but it takes so long to do. And like my wife, who's a doctor, is a pediatrician, she's like, I wish they could have some sort of bionic fix to this where you just kind of replace it with bionics and then it works. And it takes 3 months and you're back. And maybe one day they'll have that. But the bottom line here is like, we've got to get players stopping to just so naturally put their foot so far behind and then straighten it like that. And they that wouldn't happen as much. I'm convinced of it. But either way, they had a lead at the halftime, and they were playing well. And they had a lead at halftime and then went into the third quarter with TJ McConnell going off. But the turnovers that you're talking about, Chip, I think the flurry that came after that stretch of TJ at the end of the third is what, you know, that was a classic Game 7 that we used to see where the visiting team would break a little bit. They'd turn the ball over a few times. The home team would hit a three, and then it would just fall apart from there. And that's pretty much what happened. We don't always see that anymore, but it pretty much, you know, I know they got a little bit closer toward the end, but it's just, you know, the pressure of the situation and the advantage you have in the home court with the crowd is oftentimes overwhelming.
Well, that was the game, wasn't it, Combo, in your opinion? Those 10 turnovers out of their 23 turnovers, 10 of them were in quarter three. Down the stretch in quarter three. I mean, you feel like that was the game right there?
I do feel that was the game. I also feel like the officiating wasn't that great tonight. I mean, Jalen Williams traveled and thought he had an and one. I know Coach Nick thinks the Lou Dort foul was fair. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander basically carried the basketball over his head and they just kept playing. And then there was a lot of missed no calls, even on the other side. There was a three where it clearly didn't go off the defender. I know that was for the other team. And the ref was like right in front of him and he didn't see that. And he was like, like, and then, I mean, Rick Carlisle just complimented the whole refs. They said how great they were and he was going crazy tonight. And I think it was for a reason. I thought the ref was actually really bad tonight. I think they had to deal with the adversity of the refs and the injury. And I thought it was really tough.
It's interesting because every single play you just mentioned, I had written down to discuss, and some I agree with you on, and obviously there's some that I disagree with you on. Obviously, let's start with the last one real quick, and we don't want to get in the weeds too far on this, but the one that Capers missed that went off the elbow of Neesmith out of bounds, he's gonna wish he had that one back, because instantly we're taught this. Even if you're unsure, even if you're 50-50 on it, don't just make a call. Read the players' reactions. Neesmith was already walking back up the court. He knew it went off his elbow last.
Yeah.
Well, Capers is going to want that one back. He knows he missed that one. So you hate to have to lose a challenge or waste a challenge on a play like that. So I definitely agree with you on that. But and without getting into some of the specifics, because I think we have a couple super chats that may be about this. But the one other one I wanted to bring up right now is, we'll talk about the travel in a minute. I wanted to bring up the overall game. So I know you said you made a comment about how they kind of had a battle against the refs as well. I got to be very firm with some fans tonight, and it's uncharacteristic of me because a lot of times emotions gets the best of them. From perimeter defense all night long, Pacers fans are going to hang their hat on that play at the end of the first quarter where TJ McConnell was getting his wrist held right in front of the ref. Okay.
Yeah, that was another one. Yeah.
That's another one. And I had that marked down as an incorrect no call. Just like after the ball became loose on that, TJ kicked the ball with his foot intentionally, and they did not call a kicked ball violation, and it led to him getting a blocking foul, which was the correct call. Okay. So that whole sequence was kind of disjointed. But I will say this, these refs tonight were extremely consistent on allowing physicality from the perimeter into the backcourt. Hand fighting, all that stuff on both sides. Indiana got away with a ton of hand-to-hand contact, hand fighting with SGA when he was dribbling up court, a ton, wrapping their arm around the waist. So literally, if you want to call out that wrist being held, which I think they could have gotten that one to set the tone early to not do that. But then again, you could tell they had a mindset going into this game where they were not going to dictate the game. They were going to let players play around the perimeter and into the backcourt, try not to call those fouls 90 feet from the basket, stuff like that. And so both sides benefited equally, in my opinion, from the hand fighting and basically hand checks on the dribbles until they started going towards the basket.
Okay, let's get to our super chat because this will deal with the refs as well, and we'll try and run these through, and then we got Chris coming on the show. So let's get to Cliffside. Thank you so much, Cliffside. Always great to have you here with the show. Really appreciate it. And if you want your question answered, the best way to do that is on the YouTube side with the super chat. Let's do it. So Cliff says, why don't they just change the travel rule to 3 steps after the ball last makes contact with the floor? Wouldn't that eliminate all doubt? And this was a good one because we always have to try and explain to people that we don't start counting steps when the ball last bounces. And there is a good reason for that. Chip, you want to lay it down for us?
Yeah, the foundational principle of the traveling rule at every level of basketball, even though there's differences in travel rule between leagues, the foundational principle that is in all of them is you cannot travel unless you're holding the ball. You can't travel unless you're holding the ball. It's impossible to travel without holding the ball. So if we do it after the last bounce, that's not traveling. Like you can't, like there's no limit to how many steps you can take while your dribble is live, and your dribble does not end until you gather the ball. So same thing with like if they throw a pass and it's bobbled, it deflects off their hand, and they take steps while they're trying to gain control of the ball, they're not holding the ball yet. And so if you take that foundational principle away out of the traveling rule and do it after the last bounce, it literally just destroys the definition of a travel.
What do you guys? How do you guys feel about the like crazy carry that SGA did?
I got it. I have that one written down too. And let's address this.
And then the Jalen Williams jumps in the air and he lands. And then he makes a layup.
That's a tough one. But wait, talk about the Shea one. I'm having trouble even picturing it right now.
Okay, so this one happened in the first half, I believe, right? Yep. Carlisle was upset about it, right? And Carlisle, from his view, 60 feet away from the play and the angle that he had every right to be upset about it. But it's clearly as he's dribbling the ball, he doesn't bring his hand underneath the ball, and it starts. You see it from a different angle, the side angle. And you can actually see the ball lose contact with his hand, and then he puts it on top and puts it back down again. If we have the dribbler is always going to get the benefit of the doubt in that, where he's not clearly in contact with the ball, clearly doesn't bring his hand under the ball to rest and then put it back down. But from Carlisle's angle, because they showed that replay angle, and that would have been a similar angle that Carlisle had, it absolutely looked like he carried the basketball. But from the side angle, which is the best angle and a better angle like the ref had, I have nothing.
So it looked like he ended the dribble with one hand and then dribbled again.
From Carlisle's perspective, it would have absolutely looked like that.
Because I feel like there probably was a bit of a pause, I think, right? Even though the hand doesn't go underneath. But again, it's hard to do that with one hand without it underneath. But
there was a pause. There was a pause, but then the ball loses contact with the hand briefly. So it's like did he actually end it? And then he's going to get the benefit of the doubt. If you're not sure that he ended his dribble, you're going to get the benefit of the doubt, just like Mathurin got the benefit of the doubt on the other end with the play Cliffside is bringing up right here about the 3 steps. I think that's what he's referring to.
Well, he's also meaning the one, the and one, or right?
Mathurin, yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant the one in the. Oh, was that the same play? Wait a minute.
Oh no, hang on.
The gather, late gather, or the early gather, and then the 3 steps is not the same play as when he's getting fouled and hitting it on the way down and then lands. I mean, that's one.
Oh no, those are separate plays. Those are separate plays.
But the one where he lands before he releases the shot on the foul.
I was talking about the Mathurin one where he gets fouled by SGA and it was challenged for his 5th foul. It was a bad challenge. They challenged it because it was his 5th foul, SGA's 5th foul.
Right.
And it was absolutely a correct call on the foul. But people are saying, and even the analysts and the commentators were saying he took 3 steps.
Right.
When you look at it in slow-mo, he absolutely took 3 steps after he gathered the ball, because he gathered the ball with both feet off the floor and then took left, right, left into his finish. However, from the lead's perspective, and I know people don't like this, we have the benefit of seeing the slow-mo replay in real time from the lead's angle. they're not going to guess because it looks like a second before he puts that left foot on the ground after he gathered the ball, right? In slow-mo. But in real-time game speed, when you're officiating, you're refereeing the defender on that play as well, you're absolutely going to see two hands on the ball with the left foot on the floor, followed by a legal right and left for 1-2 into your layup. So it's unreasonable to think that those should be caught in real time, especially when it's so close to the time where he snatches the ball and puts his left foot on the floor. And that's what Richard Jefferson was talking about it's a gather. He's like, DB, it's a gather. Well, yeah, he gathered the ball, and replay shows it was both feet off the floor, followed by an illegal 1-2-3. Yeah. But in real time, that's not going to be called.
But it would have been nice if they would have been able to explain even a little bit of that. Like we see exactly how you said it, even like we can kind of see, because again, it's nice for people to have more information about that. They still think it's always a traveling when it is a gather step. I even had it when I went really close and zoomed it in. I have the back foot gather, the right foot down on the gather.
Ooh, really?
Right, left. But again, in the real-time cadence, it kind of just feels like he swipes it as a left foot spinning. So I totally get that as well. That is a tough one, and they missed it. It happens. At that point, I don't think it was it doesn't affect the game materially. But let's get to a couple more of these super chats, and then we'll get Kristen. Ven, thanks so much, Ven. Always great to have you as well. Injured Hallie turnovers, TJ Unstoppable McConnell, the force of MVP SGA, OKC as a whole, the NBA champions, but can they repeat next year? Well, they got Houston to deal with now.
Can't they enjoy their championship, Ven? But
I know, right? Let them enjoy it for a second, Ven.
at least one day.
Yeah. I mean, certainly. Well, here's the thing: Chet has to get better, right? Yeah. He's got to get stronger. He's got to get better. He's got to, everything's got to get better across the board. Ball handling, shooting, finishing, strength. It's a lot of stuff. He's got a full plate, full plate on everything on his plate this summer. SGA probably needs to figure out some other ways to score or not to get in so many compromising positions where he's hoping the whistle will blow. Right?
Say that again.
I think that SGA is going to have to work a little bit more on avoiding contact, getting some open space, get those shots off.
He could still become a better facilitator. That's what he could work on.
Well, we saw that tonight, right? He did the MJ.
He did a better job. He did a better job today.
Yeah. So he's that for sure, because they were loading up on him, knowing he wasn't going to pass, and they caught him at least once tonight doing that. But then he was passing it out. But again, I do feel like. What I'm addressing is a little bit what the fans are arguing in terms of, he's just foul merchant. But for me, it's more like the playoffs change, and those are that. Then his game has to change. Why build a whole game around the regular season when it doesn't work as well in the playoffs? So that's why I think he needs to. Then he might as well just work on it in the regular season too, and come up with a couple other things.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because you see a lot of the, and listen, if I'm Pacers fan, I'm saying yes, thank you, because you see in this game, there was a few times, there was at least once where he got the benefit of that call, where Siakam left his hand in there as SGA's gather, and of course Pacers fans are yelling, "That's not a basketball play. That's not a basketball play." It is, man. He's gathering to shoot. We see J-Dub gather with that one hand to do a scoop layup all the time. He's driving to the basket, but. Then you see, there was a lot of times tonight where SGA did do a quick pull or did do something like that and didn't get the benefit of a call. And so that's how it's going to be in a game 7 or throughout the playoffs from time to time. And so evolving your game in the scoring part of your game is going to be beneficial for SGA as well. He's such a talented player as well. So got a lot going for him, but that could help him as well.
But one thing that's letting him down is their offense. Dagnall does not have enough control over the offense, and right now it was so rudimentary for so many possessions that the Pacers can stop that. And I made a big point in the video today about that, where if you bring the ball over half court and just set a ball screen, that is when the defense is in its most effective positioning. You haven't moved side to side. They haven't had to check and get screened or anything. Everyone is in position they need to be in, like they've been working on for 20 years now, how to defend pick and roll. So they have to stop doing that. And it's crazy to me because it makes all those shots and all those moves that much harder for SGA. It doesn't have to be. So if they were to run the triangle offense, it had an epiphany. If they did that, you wouldn't need a true point guard or whatever. You'd end up, you'd get so many easy shots for SGA. He'd be like Jordan.
Coach Nick, you're my guy. They just won a championship, though, Coach Nick. You're killing the coach after they just won an NBA championship?
I guess so. It was really frustrating.
That's why Combo was smiling.
Yeah, I was
I'm
like,
man, can he get his day? He just won an NBA championship as a guy who's like 36 years old.
okay, fair enough. You're right, but I'll wait.
That's the coach. That's the coach in him, though. You're always looking to get better, right? You're always.
He must have done a pretty good job, and this is the youngest roster in NBA history to win a championship.
All right, that's true too. All that's true. But again, then give them more to rely on offensively than letting them do what they're doing. I think maybe that's another point. But you're right, it worked. The result that speaks for itself. That said, I mean, Hallie doesn't get hurt. Like, I don't know if we're talking about that like that.
That's fair. That's fair.
Well, and hey, listen, I got to say this for all those Pacers fans that have been saying you're secretly an OKC fan or you're taking OKC side, Coach Nick.
Yeah,
nonsense. He just hated on your coach after they won the NBA championship. So there you go.
I wanted to see the Pacers win it though. I just thought it'd be funny.
Yeah, I was kind of cheering for the Pacers. I gotta tell you, especially when I thought down. I was
because honestly, to Coach Nick's point a little bit, they play better basketball than OKC.
Right,
like the ball movement, the player movement. They don't have, I think, as talented of a roster.
Right.
And they're not probably as good defensively, even though they are really good defensively because they got some guys who can really defend. But they probably do play better basketball, and they just happen to lose their best player. But OKC was the best team in basketball throughout the whole regular season. So you also have to give them credit.
Yeah.
But I do like the way the Pacers actually play basketball better. I have to say that.
Yeah. They're an incredible team, man. Like, Pacers were fun to watch. In this playoff run, especially, man, incredible. But their fundamentals, they've got really solid fundamentals. If they could just quit turning the ball over, that's a big deal.
Yeah,
like that was their
right after that Hallie injury too. They took 2 or 3 terrible shots, like you saw, really affected them.
Yeah,
and then they got into it a little bit. Yeah.
But they righted the ship. They were great. They were right there where they needed to be. But and OKC was like just taking it from them. And it wasn't like a couple of those they might have thrown away. I think one went out of bounds. But a couple of them, they were like, I mean, that Dort steal from behind on TJ. Like there's not many people faster than TJ, and Dort probably is without the ball. That was probably later. I think that was already when it was decided. But still, I think Wallace had a couple steals too that were just like, they were just good. They're quick. They're athletic. All those things. It was really hard to compete with that. But let's bring in Chris. What's up, Chris?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good. What are your thoughts so far on after what we've talked about? What the game? Anything?
The game it sucks. The Halliburton injury obviously sucks. The game was lost probably in the third quarter. All those turnovers. I saw a stat with the field goal attempts. Did the Thunder have 28 field goal attempts in the third quarter? Was that a real stat that I saw on TV?
It sounds right.
I think they
field goal attempts.
Yeah, if that's true, then that's the reason why they lost.
I can tell you right now. They were 14 for 28 in the third quarter.
Yeah,
3.
Oh,
sorry, and 7 turnovers by the Pacers.
Yeah, that's where it was.
Can you see how many more field goal attempts OKC had in quarter 3 versus the Pacers? Because it was substantial.
Yeah, the Pacers had 17 attempts to 28. 11 more attempts. It's a lot.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And they got outscored by 14 points because TJ had gone detonated for 12 points in that quarter, 6 for 7, and should have had an and one on one of those, right, Chip? The one that he was complaining about.
So that was the only one, and I got to say this for Pacers fans. There was those 4 in a row, 4 buckets in a row that TJ had. That was the only one he got fouled on. But they were yelling about a foul on all 4 of them. And it really, if we're just being objective here, that one should have been a foul call. You see the defender go into his path and bump him, and it causes him to lose balance as he makes that. Pacers fans and the coaching staff had a point on that one, but not the other 3.
Yeah, for sure. That was a clear vector into his path, a pretty big collision. And very strange they didn't call it. I sympathize with the Pacers, and that would have been a big call. But we have Dave Wu. Thanks so much, Dave. And guess what? I finally looked it up. I want to know what currency NT is, the new Taiwan dollar. Now, the only thing I don't know is what the conversion rate is. So it seems like a whole lot of money.
It's 1 to 1.
It's 1 to 1. All right. So thank you for $1,700, Dave Wu. Amazing. We really appreciate it. But, Coach, I've been an OKC fan since 2012. I'm so happy. Has this team earned your respect more than the 12 and 16 OKC team? Also, NTD, there it is, this new Taiwan dollar. So you don't need to wonder again. This roughly means $56. Well,
nice.
So gracious and so generous of you, Dave. Really appreciate it. But that's an interesting question because if you have been following me or been part of the conversation for that, for long enough, you'll remember that I was very critical of that Thunder team, primarily because of Russell Westbrook. The way he played drove me nuts as a coach. Shot selection, turnovers, a lot of that, finishing at the rim. So, this team felt much better to me than that team. Some of those teams had some weak spots offensively that they don't have now. Like Cason Wallace can shoot threes. Isaiah Joe can shoot threes. Back then, Robertson couldn't handle the ball, couldn't shoot. It was really, maybe at some point he kind of could have wide open, catch it and get it close maybe on some of those, right? But yes, for the most part, they'd have a guy like that. And they didn't play like a team. I remember like Ibaka would complain that he had to go run and sit in the corner for like 10 straight possessions and never touch the ball. Like that was a good example of like the whole way talking about offense. It didn't really function as a team. Like that one really, there's a connection a little bit, but compared to those KD Russ teams, this offense hums along as a team. But what do you guys think?
Combo, I want to hear your thoughts on that. This team versus the OKC team back then.
I mean, I still think that team was more talented because we look at what those players did over the course of their career.
Okay.
But at the time that they were together, at that point in their careers,
I think they win if they did
Really?
like a series. Yeah.
Are we counting Harden?
Go up against the Warriors, right? That's an all-timer. That was tough for them. Did they lose anybody else?
Well, we're counting Harden for this conversation.
Like the finals Heat, against the Heat. Okay.
Although it'd have to be that team, right?
As his full self. But go ahead, Chris.
No, I'm saying so it would have to be that year, that team. It can't be the teams after. If we're gonna count the OKC era team, it would have to be up until that point, right? If we're gonna count Harden.
Okay. Well, when did Harden leave? 12 after 12-13?
Yeah.
So there's one of those years. Right before.
Was it 13-14?
Let me see. It wasn't. Let's see. I think that David's concluding one of the years when he was still like there. Let's see. Yeah, he got to Houston for 12-13. Oh, so I don't know if he counts in what Dave was talking about.
So yeah, it depends on like what you think, which OKC team in that era is the best. I don't think you can
post Harden.
So you're saying post Harden?
Yeah.
Okay, so no, this team is better. This era's team is better
as a team.
Just the way that this team is allowed to play defense, they're better. Just based off that.
Okay, interesting. I mean, yeah, because certainly if you have Russ and KD, like, okay, how does that match up with like SGA and J Dub? Like, you probably would end up, saying, okay, Russ and KD were like better at their heights than that, right? Individually.
But then you have Chet and Hartenstein, right?
Right. No, and then from there, it's like, yeah, it's not even close, right? Like that, then that gets much better, much quickly for OKC. So for the new team, so yeah, and plus just the style, the way they play, it is much better. It really is. I can't tell you how frustrating it was to watch that, and I can tell you, and I did tell you, and everyone saw the video. So
but they wouldn't play like that in the modern era.
Interesting.
Well, it was the modern era, wasn't it? Enough.
No. But that was before like Warriors were all the way through. Like that's the modern era to me when like the Warriors started going out.
I mean,
and then everybody else started adjusting.
But combo with their personnel, like who's stretching the floor for them when they
KD,
double?
Did they play a lot of KD at the 5?
I don't think so.
You think they would play him at the 5?
You would, yeah. In this era, yeah, he's a 5 basically.
Yeah, right. I mean, prime KD before he got hurt, yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah, he did. He would, yeah.
And also, you just wouldn't have that team. Like Roberson probably wouldn't even be in the league.
But we can't say that because he's on the team. We're just doing what was on the team, right? You can't say, oh, he wouldn't. But right. Ibaka would be at the 5. It'd be Ibaka at the 5, KD at the 4, Westbrook at the 1, and then was it Kevin Martin and whoever, right?
Martin, yeah.
Kevin Martin was on that OKC team.
Well,
yeah,
later,
they traded for Harden, right?
He was nice.
Let's do the
18 a game.
One side of the floor.
What?
He could not shoot from the right side of the floor. But
He was
Deion
he
Waiters,
was a
Steven Adams, Andre Robertson.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
team.
Deion Waiters.
Yeah, Ennis Canner. I mean, that team was not great, for sure. And by the way, that team I just listed won 55 games under Billy
Yeah.
Donovan.
But yeah, it's hard to. That's
or-
what I'm saying. It's kind of hard to like compare errors. Like they
Wait a
just.
Well, but here's the thing: is like I'm a big defensive guy, so I think this OKC defense right now I think wins it for him if they were playing that era's team for OKC, in my opinion.
But then you just also have KD at the end of games. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
that's
a
true
different
too.
But
Well, yeah,
I
but
feel
you're-
like, yeah, the way that that older OKC team is constructed, I think you could just double KD the whole time, and no one else is going to beat you.
right.
Let me ask you guys a question. Why doesn't the Pacers or any other team like deny Shea once he lets it go?
Deny what? How, and where?
They just let him
Like,
catch it again a lot often.
They sag off of him after he passed. Are you talking about after he passes? They sag off a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I would have done a lot more of that. I would have done a lot more doubling him and just forcing it out of his hands early. That
Just
was
make somebody else beat you because he's so efficient and so consistent.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, they're worried about you could double off, and now J-Dub gets to attack a long closeout, whatever. But I think they could kind of rotate and handle that. But you're right, they did do a little bit. I can picture sometimes when they were denying it a little bit. But I also don't know if they going away from the press was great. I think they could have gone back to that as well and played it.
It worked for them in game.
They did in the fourth quarter. They did in the fourth quarter tonight because they kind of had to.
Yeah, right. At the very end. So, I think they could have found something there as well. I get it. It worked in game 6, so let's keep going. But at some point, in that third quarter, it all happened so fast, right? Like it went from, I get the play-by-play, but, right. TJ was going nuts for 6 for 7. It was back and forth. And then
They went on a 9-0 run
in the last 4 minutes or something like that. And then that was it. Let's get to some more super chats because we got a bunch to get through here. So thanks so much, everybody, so far. And K-Mike, thanks so much. K-Mike, PLN. Is that the Philippines? I don't know what PLN is. But anyway, thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate it. He says, they say, funny how OKC won it before the Clippers since trading SGA. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. Yeah.
It's funny. Yeah, it is.
Right? For the Clippers in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, the Clippers had their chances. They had their chances in the bubble. They had when Kawhi went down was it the conference finals? When that one run when they beat Utah, I forget.
Yeah.
They had two legit chances, and Kawhi got hurt in one of them. So it is what it is.
So the trade in 2019 was Gallinari and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and a first-round pick, which was Trey Mann, and then another first-round pick, which became J-Dub.
Jalen Williams, yeah.
And which is big. So, and then another first-round pick, which became Jaime Jaquez for the Heat, and then another first-round pick for Dylan Jones. It's a lot of first-round picks. I'm trying to see, was that it? So it was SGA, Gallinari, the players, and then Paul George coming back, and then a bunch of picks. So, you put Paul George and Kawhi Leonard together, that seemed like it was worth a shot at it. But, man, they just could not sort of stay healthy well enough together to do it. And I don't think we're ever going to see it now, are we?
Yeah. And you ask any of the GMs who wouldn't have done the trade. I don't know too many that
we knew SGA was going to be really good, even then.
Nah, I don't think everybody knew.
Not this kid.
Not MVP.
not MVP.
I don't think people thought MVP back then.
I think probably. I'm sure if you did a poll and you said, "Will he be All NBA?" most people would say no.
Yeah, no one. Yeah.
And then does that mean they would say also no to All Star?
That would
He just didn't show. He didn't show.
That would have been closer.
He didn't have a lot of chance though, right? He was playing behind.
But Coach Nick, but like Reed Shepherd didn't have a lot of chance this year, and you disregarded him.
That's different.
You saw the evidence you saw of SGA in LA was so much beyond what we saw from Reed Shepherd.
Yeah,
Reed Shepherd and Cam Whitmore will make All-Star games.
I mean, I would lean more towards Cam Whitmore, but SGA is 6'6". He started or came off. He was the first person off the bench on a playoff team that year versus Golden State. Like he showed more. It's a little different, but he definitely. I would have said All-Star, but All NBA 4 or 5 years in a row, MVP. No, I wouldn't.
Nobody would have said All NBA during.
That's crazy.
Maybe a few, maybe like 10% if you
Yeah,
get a
but
poll.
I mean, the problem was he was 20, played 1 year for him, and averaged 11 a game. Like shot had the mature mid range game already. Like that was the thing. We're like, whoa, you don't know.
Well, here's a better question since this already happened. Who's that guy now?
Ooh.
Who's a 20-year-old guard?
No, who's the guy that's you seeing a little opportunity? They're maybe not playing as much as they should, but they have a great chance to become an All-NBA player, let alone MVP. MVP is crazy, but
It's not Reed Shepherd. But that said, Reed Shepherd is going to get so many great opportunities with KD next to him now. Like he will have a better season than he did this year for sure. I mean, he'll get more opportunities.
Well, I hope he get. Why you think he'll get more opportunity? I hope he does.
Well, because Jalen Green's gone.
Okay.
Right.
Well, so that's telling me that they really believe in him.
Maybe we'll see, or they're going to give him a shot, right? He'll have a legit shot to get some of those good playing time, those good minutes. So we'll see. And I do think a lot of things will be open because the other guys will be creating closeouts for him to attack and stuff. So I feel good about saying he'll play a lot better next year for sure. I mean, there's only one way to go up for him, right? He didn't.
I think Mathurin could be all-star level on a different team.
Okay,
I think that's what Chris was just about to say, right, Chris?
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. Who's that next guy? I think Mathurin could be.
All right.
I know Combo's answer. I know Combo's answer to his own question on that.
Which one?
It's Cade Cunningham.
Well, Cade Cunningham.
Well, that doesn't count.
Wait, Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham is all NBA level right now.
I know. I just said that to. I just said that to get under Nick's.
I tried to tell Coach Nick for years. He didn't want to believe me. But now he's finally coming around.
Let's get to some more super chat. Well, listen, would you believe me, Chip, if I told you that Combo called me before the game started this afternoon?
That's pretty unbelievable. That is pretty unbelievable.
Would you believe me if I told you that?
He actually called you on the phone?
He called me on the phone, just to kind of make sure we're all set for tonight. And right. Kate Cunningham came up in that conversation. Would you believe that I told you?
I would believe that 100%. That does not shock me at all.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get to Cliffside. So, Cliff, thank you so much for being here again, part of the show. How'd you match up defensively with OKC if you're Houston? Okay. So you got Şengün, KD, Jabari Smith, Thompson, and Fred VanVleet, right?
Tari Eason.
Jae'Sean Tate over Thompson.
I think like Tari Eason was the reason they were able to give up Dylan Brooks in a lot of ways because he can really defend. And
so Amen Thompson's going to start, right? Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I'm just naming everybody. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, if we're doing the 5-on-5 thing, like the game starting, well, obviously Şengün's going to guard Hartenstein. Is it J-Dub going to guard KD?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And
what are matchups? I mean, everybody's switching. There's so many different schemes. Like, are there like straight match?
There are when you play OKC because
you have to
isolate. How many times did Nembhard just were able to stay on him and then they have to guard him one-on-one? Like it happened a lot. Crazy. Yeah. Right. Or Neesmith, but yes, that's a good point. What else do we have? Who is Fred VanVleet guard?
Caruso.
Well, Caruso.
If Caruso starts, it's
Dort.
Okay. He plays. That's fine. Who plays SGA? Oh, Amen Thompson.
Amen Thompson. Amen. But Dort is probably not going to be back next year.
Is that right?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be back.
Okay. By the way, Amen Thompson against SGA, love it. I would love. That
would be huge. That'd be a great matchup.
Yeah, I don't think he's ready yet, but it's definitely be a learning experience.
I don't know. I mean, I think he got some good.
You basically said he wasn't ready yet twice.
Yeah, I mean, no, he is just very like wildly undisciplined at times, and because he's just young.
Yeah.
And at that, Shea is just going to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'd like to see it. And then, by the way, that'll be fun to watch. You'll see him, evolve from that, right?
Yeah.
Learn in real time. It's kind of like, Scottie Pippen became a great defensive player because he was guarding Michael in practice all that time, right?
Yeah.
And then when he wasn't guarding him, he had to go out and guard Bird, Dr. J,
Adrian Johnson. He locked down.
It's insane. And, he got his lunch handed to him for the first interview, and then he became, one of the greatest of all time. All right, let's get to another super chat, shall we? Where are we here? Okay. We have Big Man Sam. Thank you so much, Big Man. Really, really appreciate it. Very generous of you. Really helps us keep the show going. Great to hear from you. Shout out Chris, Chip, Combo, and Coach. In a social media ecosystem full of lazy hot takes of this sport, this channel is a haven for people that actually enjoy this game. Can't wait for off-season content and see you all next year. Again, this is the bittersweet moment of the season where we have to have our last live show of the year, and for sure we'll be around. I'm going to Japan on Wednesday, and by the way, if you're out there in Japan and you're a real person, like I want to try and have a real non-touristy experience with you. So email me coachnick@bballbreakdown.com and let me know if you're around, and maybe we can connect or tell me where I should go or do or whatever. That's real authentic Japanese experience. But anyway, thank you so much, Sam. I really appreciate to hear that. It makes me feel, and I'm sure you guys all feel great about it.
Big Man Sam, thank you so much, man. Literally, that means the world. We appreciate you guys. Like it's tough sometimes out there in those Twitter streets. So it's nice to be able to get some credit from time to time. But also, I wanted to take this opportunity to say, like, I love doing these because I get to learn a lot from these guys that I'm on here with, from hearing it from a coach's perspective, players' perspectives. It helps me think the game even more, and I get to learn a lot from being on here with you guys. So, man, I love it, and I love that people enjoy watching this too. So thank you so much for the shout out, bro. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and we'll do more of these, by the way. Like we kind of did it on for the playoffs, but and we'll do them on the combo. We'll do them on the day, but we'll have to do some more post game live shows during the regular season too. I enjoy those. We got to get combo to stay up a little bit later for us. I don't do it all every week, but
by the way, I mean, I kind of do go with the hot takes sometimes, but we appreciate you either way. So I mean, maybe not them three, but combo hot takes.
We'll give you your own little segment of the combo hot takes. You can.
That's good. We should do that.
You got to catch, if you do regular season post games though, you got to catch me on an off night, which is very rare during the regular season. So
that's true. All right, well, we'll figure it out. Well, why do you really feel like you have games every night of the week during the season?
Middle of October to the middle of March, I averaged it out, and I was gone 6.3 nights a week for those 5 months.
That's amazing. All right, wow. And so obviously the one night, the 0.7 nights that
you're the 0.7
live show. So I hear you. Well, let's get to Stinky Dipey. Thank you so much, Stinky. A new addition to the show and a contributor. Thank you again. It was so generous of you. OKC was just trying to knee the clock out once they went up 20 with around 7 to 8 minutes left. SGA bricked what felt like 20 shots straight and offense with no answers. Well, that is true too. I mean, and I showed one before that where there was one pass, the entire possession from I think J-Dub passes it from the wing to the top back to SGA, who holds it and then runs a quick, whatever, gets into the lane and then kicks it back out for an open shot in the three. So, it's not like you need to have 5 passes in a possession, and the ball reversals twice or whatever to get good shots. But I think in the long run, when you do that consistently, you're doing 0 to 1 passes all over the place in a 7-game series where the team has a lot of chances to practice against you and get prepared. That's where the regular season doesn't mean anything to me, right? You can beat up on all the bottom teams you can, for weeks at a time, get those huge numbers, get the huge record, whatever. But you can sense, and just like with the SGA stuff, you can sense that when you get to the playoffs and the things change and the teams are preparing for you more, that doesn't work so well. And I think that's that next level they need to get to. Anybody want to?
Yeah. No.
Well said. Well said, Coach Nick.
Yeah.
Well said. We all agree. When there's silence, that means we agree.
I talk too much. All right. Andrew Zhu, thank you so much. Andrew, always great to see you out here. Playoffs were a baptism for an OKC dynasty. Okay.
Did you use ChatGPT for that one, Andrew? That's good, man.
That's good. That's really good.
Yeah. There was no dash though. You ever notice that ChatGPT will add the double dash in everything?
Yo, ChatGPT got a lot better over time. I'll tell you that.
I've been using it, but I probably yell at it more than I listen to it.
I just do prompt me as if Coach Nick was advising me, and then I just go through life like that.
Listen, I will say that to be a prompt engineer is going to be a big career for people. So if you want to learn, because I spent some time the other day screwing around with it, trying to do some interesting content that I may not do. And I could see why, if you don't know how to prompt properly, it could take you 5 times as long. It's really frustrating. Now I'm also realizing that people hate it because it's wasting water, I guess, and electricity and all sorts of stuff. That's a tough one. I think it's blocking me because I posted. Did you see that one? I posted I want SGA I want Halliburton to drive the basket and lob a pass to Siakam and who dunks it. and I got like nightmare fuel. It was like the ball was like 4 times bigger than it's supposed to be, and the guy like jumped. It was so bizarre the way the movement is.
Oh, you tried to make an image on ChatGPT?
No, well, okay. I was using either using Sora, which is ChatGPT's that video version of it, or I don't know if I was using Veo, which is really expensive, but I'm going to play around with that as well. We'll see. But
Which one major?
Yeah,
Which one
guys
tweet? Which
how
one?
do you guys mostly use ChatGPT? Like I use it for a lot. It's even too much to describe, really. But
well,
how
Chris,
do you guys
use it? And you're a younger person. Do you use it?
Sometimes for emails. That's about it.
And it really is good for that, right?
Yeah.
For emails, it's amazing. Chip, what were you saying?
I was saying something else, but how do you think ChatGPT would answer Andrew's question?
it's kind of a statement
Or statement.
I mean,
it probably well, I guess it depends. If it's going based off the previous years, they're gonna say yeah, they have a chance, but the league has had a lot of parity, so but they have the best chance to probably
also
have
the sports stuff's not always updated on ChatGPT.
No, it's not.
Well, then, yeah.
That's why I yell at it. Here's what I said to I typed in a ChatGPT that says that's a strong and evocative phrase. Here are a few ways to use or expand on that phrase. Dynasty is born. OKC's playoff baptism by fire. Well, now I'm revealing that I probably use ChatGPT for titles sometimes for my videos.
Oh, there you go.
Which I do, but it's not great for him. But it's not a bad tipping off point. But I actually was helping me out. Like if I wanted to write a screenplay, I kind of like fed it some stuff and whatever. I got to tell you, it's actually pretty good for that. It's not a bad screenwriting partner, believe it or not. But at any rate,
for Andrew's statement though, like how do we feel about that? Because we talked a lot coming into the playoffs about OKC's youth, right? And were they going to be able to withstand, the teams that they would face on their way to an NBA championship? And they made it through the NBA championship. That youth now, huge asset for them. But now they have that wisdom that they're going to gain from this real life experience of this young team winning a championship. Yeah. And that's got to be a really big motivator for them down the stretch or down into the future years.
Well, and Chris, by the way, Lou Dort is still under contract for 2 more years at $17 million.
You just think he'll be traded?
Yeah, because of I was listening to something. They're saying they could let him go because they want to give Case and Wallace those minutes.
Interesting.
So is there?
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Because a starter on a championship team making 17, it's a really great deal.
Yeah.
20, that's really good. Lou Dort does sound to me like a kind of guy who, like in other situations, wouldn't do as well. It wouldn't be part of what he's here. Like it's almost like the Bruce Brown thing. It's true. Did Bruce Brown? Yeah, he left in free agency, right, from Denver. He wanted to get paid, but like. I feel like that was the spot, right, where he was playing and he was fit in and they found success. If he just could have stayed there and been happy with whatever he's going to make, which I totally get, that's where you end up seeing him play the best as an individual player. Whereas, right, I feel like he's kind of wallowing in obscurity since then. He got hurt, I know, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, he was on the Pacers team, right? He was making $20 million a year.
Yeah. By the way, where is he now?
Toronto.
Yeah.
Toronto. Yeah.
Yeah. It's easy to kind of get lost there. So, it just felt like that would have been a great, we've seen that a lot. Like, Caruso, hey, kudos to him because he's been able to now win 2 titles. And he was a guy who was like, wow, what a great fit. He just needed him to stay in the Lakers and he'd be right there. And I get it. I think he left in free agency as well, if I'm not mistaken. And, he wants to make some more money. But
well, the Lakers could have matched or they could have paid him close to the same, but they wanted to keep, I forget what player it was.
KCP left too, same time, right?
Yeah, or Kuzma, let's see. Now it's
Kuzma got traded. Kuzma got traded to Washington for Westbrook.
Yeah, right. Okay, that was a little bit later.
But yeah, they could have kept Caruso, but it was the tax stuff.
Yeah, but Caruso, KCP, Drew Holiday, those are the players you kind of need to win a championship. And Dort is almost in that range. Can he shoot a 3? And by the way, Dort can drive. Like he didn't really show it much in the finals, but he's known to be able to drive the ball and then a lockdown defender, just like KCP is, just like Caruso is. You need that guard guy who can do a little bit on offense and play really good defense for sure.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay, I think the Magic win the East next year.
Ooh.
You know who they need? I'll tell you the three players that they should
Bane.
get. One of these three players: Klay Thompson, Duncan Robinson, or Jordan Hawkins.
Yeah. Well, so you're saying that they need shooting is what you're saying.
They need another movement shooter.
Moving shooter.
Yeah. I mean, Bane is certainly one of those. It's weird that people were trying to say that he's a creator as well.
He is.
He
showed. I mean, Ja hasn't been playing a lot, and he's been doing it well when Ja has been out.
He's a secondary playmaker. I think his arms are just too short.
But that's perfect. His arms are too short to box with God. Who said that? Jay-Z. But no, his numbers are really good off the dribble, off pick and roll.
No, he's really good. I just think his arms really do limit him from being that level of playmaker, just because he can get by his guy, but he just can't finish. No, he just can't finish against elite defenders. I've seen it way too many times. That's what's really stopping him.
I feel like the NBA is not about slotting positions anymore. It's about fitting skill sets and tendencies, and they already have like two really jumbo point forward type players, so he doesn't need to play point guard.
Right, so it might not matter, right? I just saw that. I was just kind of confused by that, but you're right. It doesn't matter on that team anyway. But what will matter is how can they integrate all that together and make it work as an offense? Because talk about ISO, like that got frustrating. And then by the way, I like Banchero, and that's why I would think like Banchero might be better than other players in the league that we won't mention. But that also how much
better than Cade, Coach Nick.
With more
he's not better than Cade, Coach Nick.
Next
year,
they're
on the same tier. They're on the same tier.
Nah,
we're gonna find out next year.
Yeah, I think we will.
Once and for all, combo.
Watch when we find out it's Cade. It's gonna be like we'll find out next year. Every year, we just found out who was better, Coach Nick. Did you watch the playoffs?
Banchero still missed some time. We'll see. We'll see next.
Definitely see.
You got to give me next year. The first half of next year, as long as they're all healthy, then we'll see.
Yeah.
They're young, man. You always say they're young and they're whatever. Like they're still young. We're still developing here.
Yep.
Still have to develop my opinion. But wait, let's just finish off. We can talk a little bit about the KD to Houston a little bit more because I feel like we didn't even talk about that, which major storyline. I probably won't get that video done before I have to go, but I could try. But what are we thinking here? Is that going to be the team that's going to end up competing with OKC for the Western Conference crown?
Houston?
Yeah. I think so. I honestly do.
Let me look at the team.
I think if KD would have went to the East, that team would have won the East.
We'll have to see. KD is still great, but he's 37.
So what?
And Achilles, I don't know. I mean, and he played well, and in Phoenix was not good at all.
Well, they had the roster construction wasn't good.
Well, to challenge OKC, I think it's probably the Lakers and Houston. Depending how their rosters shape out, I'd probably pick those two teams.
Okay.
And depending, Dallas probably would be 2 years, but next year, if we're talking specifically just next year, the Lakers and Houston.
So you think the Lakers they're gonna have to do another move or something in there, right?
Yeah, they have to make a move for a big or something. The way they get some of these trades off doesn't seem fair.
LeBron might retire.
One of those.
Who might retire?
LeBron.
He's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere.
All right. Interesting. I mean, let's not forget the Warriors were elite when Jimmy got there, and now they're gonna make a play for something.
Yeah, they just need like another. They had the guy, right, Jordan Poole, but they had to get him out of there. If they had him on the team, then
what do you tell Draymond? You're a backpack for 30. What do you? We found out what he told them.
To get punched?
Yeah.
What did he say? I can't remember.
You're a backpack for 30, and then Draymond punched him. Something like that.
Yeah.
I heard he said some other things.
Sure. Here's the other take, though, that maybe you've seen a little bit of that. The whispers are around about Houston is that they might get Giannis.
I saw that too. They still do.
That's
possible even after KD.
Well, I see. I love the fact that they were able to keep Jabari Smith and get him anyway, because I think Jabari Smith is a guy. like a
Mhm.
Pippen kind of guy, right?
Yeah.
And then Thompson is overwhelming defensively, and then also his offense is getting better and better. So I like the fact that, but KD does not fit their timeline in that way. But so now if you want to give up Jabari Smith and whatever else,
Thompson.
then yeah, you could probably figure out a way to get Giannis out of there.
Yeah, because they still have a lot of their picks, and they have a Phoenix pick.
But Giannis doesn't want to leave.
Giannis
Yeah.
wants to leave.
What?
I think Giannis wants to leave.
I think so too.
Oh, they're just
He
saying
hasn't
that?
indicated saying that he wants to. But if you're Giannis, you just looking at the landscape of the East as of right now, you just need one guy on your team, and you can be in the conference finals. Just one guy to replace Dame. Who's going to stop you? It's literally wide open.
I'm not saying I know anything, but I know. But I'm going to tell you that Giannis doesn't want to be in Milwaukee.
Okay, well there you go. But it wouldn't make sense for him to go to the West, though. The West is just too.
I'm
I
about
would
to
want
tweet,
if
I'm about to tweet sources.
Well,
parentheses, Coach Nick.
breaking news.
Giannis wants to leave.
Aggregate
well,
that.
Coach, you have those ties to Wisconsin, right? So
Yeah, I do, but I mean, I went there, but I don't know if that's a long. Remember when Obi-Wan says, "I have not heard the name Obi-Wan in a long time."
Yeah.
That's how I feel about Wisconsin. But
Who's the next coach of the Knicks?
I can't believe that they fired Tibbs without having the guy lined
We
up.
talked about this, Coach Nick, me and you.
that's crazy.
My take is that in the middle of the playoffs, you can't really reach out to everybody because it could get back to Tibbs. And then what if you advance? That could be a huge debacle if it gets back to Tibbs while he's in the playoffs.
Yeah, but like they made the decision to fire him like a week after the season ended.
Not even. It was like 2 days.
It was only 2 days. It was like a Thursday they ended the season, and Monday they fired him, like that, whatever it was.
Like that, yep.
So you really think that they made the decision that I mean they couldn't have made that decision in a day or 2 days, right? They couldn't have.
I think they wanted to fire him if they lost that Detroit series. I think that Detroit series was like, yeah, he has to go.
Okay. I guess you're right. I mean, well, you are right in the sense that they can. And by the way, they already did go shopping, right? They already asked every team if they could talk to their coach who's already employed, right? Which is
they all said no.
Right. So this is all covered because it's going to be Brunson, right?
What'd you say?
It's going to be Brunson.
Rick Brunson?
The father.
Hell no.
The father?
I don't know.
You fired Tibbs. I mean, I like Rick Brunson's a nice guy. Like he's a cool guy. But
you don't think that'd be weird?
It would be very weird, but maybe they're trying to just make it seem like they're doing all this due diligence because they just want to bring. I don't know. I mean, this doesn't make any sense.
Is that your source? Is that real, or are you just thinking this?
I mean, have I read it somewhere? Maybe or someone, but I don't have any source on that. I don't have any source for anything.
Look, I thought it should have been Jay Wright or Mike Malone. They said Jay Wright said he's good with retirement. Mike Malone, they didn't even try. They don't want him for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, I saw that.
Now
that's the case.
Now they're saying Taylor Jenkins and Mike Brown.
Yeah, so I don't know what they're waiting for. And by the way, Jeff Van Gundy, man, they should consider him too.
I like Jeff.
But I really can't understand how that it hasn't been filled by now. I mean, are they waiting for like summer league? Like it's very strange. I cannot follow that. Why that hasn't been done. But I guess what he just continues to confirm that they did not have anybody lined up. And
do you think one of the reasons he maybe got canned is because he lost to the same Pacers team in consecutive conference semis? Or consecutive or playoffs,
and kind of got out coached, I guess, right?
Yeah. He's getting out coached, and he has the better roster, right? Player for player, he has, for the most part, his teams are better. He's better than Detroit. Went six games. Shouldn't have gone 6 games.
I think some of that is the greatness of Tyrese Halliburton.
Well, how about the greatness of Obi Toppin?
Obi Toppin too.
He got a lot better. He got better defensively, but I just feel like Tyrese could do more with less than Jalen Brunson.
Did Obi Toppin suddenly get really good in Indiana, or did Tibbs?
No, he was.
He always had the tools, but he wasn't as good defensively with the Knicks.
All right.
I don't think he got enough to show. He didn't play enough.
He looked crazy. He looked crazy on defense with the Knicks.
The Knicks, and they would play much better, and then he would put him right back on the bench again. So very strange. So, but listen, Obi got all the way to the finals, man, and he has. Was this his first year in Indiana?
Second.
He's got 2 wins, 2 straight wins over the Knicks.
That's
And,
big.
and is really one of those X factors. He's the new Bobby Portis or whatever, the new big guy who can shoot some threes. But he's probably better. I mean, I just saw the signs. I think the Warriors are trying to try and sign Bobby Portis or get him, and that's interesting.
Really?
He can shoot some threes. He's tough. He can, he's a big guy that they can use to space the floor. But then you want to have the same.
He was like the Knicks' best player at one point. So you see, the Knicks have came a long way.
Oh, that's when they signed 4 power forwards in that free agency summer.
Yeah,
Knicks?
yeah.
Was that
Yeah.
like Amari Stoudemire era? Is that what we're talking?
No.
It's after
That was when Julius Randle signed there. Bobby Portis.
Yeah.
It was a horrible. No, Bobby Portis is a cone on defense. He
He's
can't.
not good.
He's
Yeah.
a cone.
That is a problem. Anyhow, well, listen, I think we kind of covered everything we needed to cover, and this is the moment where we kind of now. Again, I'm going out of town for 2 weeks. I'm not going to be around, so we can't do a live show until I get back. But we got plenty of things to talk about with the summer league and whatever. Combo, are you going to go to Vegas?
I'll be there.
All right, I think I'll be there. I think I'll be there for a little bit.
You're supposed to do a show. We talked about that last year.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see if we can make it happen.
All right.
I get back on the 11th, so I know the summer league starts on the 10th, but maybe I'll come that week.
I'll be there the 12th to the 15th.
Okay, Coach, we got a little long in the tooth, but we've got a ton of super chats that we missed.
What? I don't see them. Oh my God. Forgive me. I thought it would automatically scroll. All right, let's get to them real quick. Sorry, guys. My goodness. I thought I was done. It didn't keep scrolling. Andrew, Zoo, thank you so much. How does SGA improve? Well, I think I did lay that out really quickly. He's got to I think he should go away a little bit from the foul stuff. Which again is not a bad way to do it, but you have to understand that in the playoffs when it changes so radically, I wouldn't want to have, is it what 20% of his game geared about that 15, 20% maybe? It's not a ton, but it's enough where I feel like maybe chip away a little bit more.
Yeah.
Anybody else? How about 3-point shooting?
Yeah.
It's just a pull-up 3.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and then yell at me, Chip, next time. I can't believe I didn't. I
didn't realize you didn't notice it, man. Sorry.
No worries. Braun. Oh, my goodness, Braun. Thank you so much for being here. Sorry for being so late, but let's do it. SGA this season, MVP, scoring champ, all-star starter, all-NBA first team, Western Conference Finals and Finals MVP. Hey, I won that bet. I said that SGA would win the NBA Finals MVP. 68-win season champion, best guard season since
Jordan. He had 88. No, that's Curry. I didn't even realize that. He had 84 total wins.
Didn't Jordan have this with the Defensive Player of the Year award, basically?
And scoring.
But
Right.
he didn't have a title for that one.
Oh, he didn't have a
Yeah,
title.
he didn't.
Defensive Player of the Year was like 87 maybe or 88 around there. So a little bit before.
That's insane.
But
Sorry.
since Curry, right?
Yeah, Curry had 88 wins.
Yeah.
He had more than Jordan. That's crazy.
Yeah.
They showed that stat. That's insane.
Yeah.
But that is elite, and and again, we're just nitpicking at this point with OKC. So I apologize, but hey, there is room for them to improve. Believe it or not, they really can.
But what a season, man! What a season, dude! Seriously, for all the hate he gets from non-OKC fans, you got to give the guys flowers, man. Just unbelievable talent. I think he's entertaining to watch too, and I try to be as possible. He's an entertaining watch, man. I know a lot of people get hung up on just extra stuff, but man, what a pleasure to watch. Great player.
Absolutely. All right, let's get to our next one. Oh, come back here. Cliffside. Thanks, Cliff. You're always here for us. How do you think Cooper Flag will fit in with Dallas if and when Kyrie gets back? They have AD, Clay, PJ, Gafford, Lively, Najee, Caleb, etc. Are they contenders? Cooper Flag is going to fit in really, really well. I think he's going to be terrific. In that role, he'll be because he's a facilitator. He can pass. He's going to take his lumps. I suspect drives the basket. He's going to get bumped off and miss and struggle a little bit there on finishing. But and then he'll probably struggle 3-point shooting and distance shooting. I'm assuming because his jump shot's a little wonky. But I think he's got a great feel for the game, and he'll have like 12 points a game. I don't know, 6 assists. 7.
Wait, 12 points.
You think more?
Yeah.
Oh, I think he's getting like 18.
18. I literally was saying 18 right when you did.
I think Con Canupa will win Rookie of the Year, though.
I don't see it. I just don't see it.
Depends on what team he goes to. Really depends on the team.
He's a player.
Where do you guys think Dallas finish? First of all, when is Kyrie getting back?
It's an ACL.
Probably midseason.
Early March, maybe
Everybody's
after
different with
All-Star
that.
break.
Everybody's different.
Yeah.
if they have him for half a season, where do you guys think Dallas ends up in the playoff picture?
They're tough.
They're a top 6 seed. They're out of the man. Actually, no, they're probably in
They
the
might
play-in.
be struggling for a while, and it's like,
Yeah,
how much can they recover in the
they're
West?
in the play-in. They're in the play-in.
Yeah,
Okay.
they thought they get in the play-in, and then maybe probably be one of those teams that nobody wants to play.
Yeah, exactly. They're like a 7 seed.
Yeah, it's
Kyrie comes back. I don't want to play them.
I don't want to play them.
I don't want to play
he
them.
is healthy. Like there's a lot of things that have to happen, but
Yeah.
they're tough. That's a good team. It is a pretty good with those guys. And then Cooper Flag will probably be better for that because he'll get more opportunities with Kyrie out.
But Cooper, his passing, and if they play during certain matchups, if they're able to play him at the 4, his high-low game with AD, I think would be like really, really good. Like really good.
Yeah. I just hope
he loves making those passes
and shooting this summer before he gets back to the NBA. Stinky Dipey, thanks so much, Stinky. Door open for New York Knicks with Hallie down.
It's open for anybody.
Yeah, it'd be worth a deep dive to figure out why Indiana wasn't like, what were they ranked here? Indiana was 4th in the Eastern Conference, 50 wins. But, doesn't it seem like they should have had, 8 more wins and been.
Yeah. Though they had the slow start. They were like 14 and 15, right? 14 and 15 or something like that to start the season.
Oh, okay, so they finished in that same. They finished the way they ended up looking at the end. So that's true.
Yeah.
All-Star break. They were at the All-Star break. They were low.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I know Hallie was going to beat up and just wasn't himself until all of a sudden he was. But so they are good, and we've seen this happen before with usually the winner. So I predict OKC's going to come back and have the glow and have the confidence, and like they're probably going to be beating down people left and right.
Oh, yeah.
Walls will be playing better, like all those guys now they have the experience. So I would expect them to have a really good regular season next year, and then be again favorites to repeat. Like I think they would have to be that.
But guess who all the pressure is on now in the East though?
Well, it's on Indiana. It's not.
No, it's Philly. It's Philly.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's all on them.
But yeah,
right. Like player for player, right? If based on all the injuries, they're the best team.
Yeah,
right. That's interesting.
So it's all the pressure's on them now. If they're healthy, what's the reason for you not to make the conference finals or the finals?
Because Boston's going to be missing Tatum for a large chunk of the season.
Right.
Dame's not in Milwaukee for or more than half the season. And Hallie, which, by the way, isn't it crazy that all 3 ACL injuries in the playoffs they wear the number 0?
Achilles.
Oh, wow.
Everybody's sending me that.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Dame wears the number 0. Tatum wears the number 0, and so does Hallie. All 3 of them are number 0.
That's a bad omen.
I never pictured that for some reason.
Well, they said bad luck comes in 3s, right?
Yeah. Well, let's hope it stops there because it's rough.
Yeah.
We've never had this. Unprecedented.
That's spooky.
So sad, man.
Yeah,
spooky.
All right, let's get to our next one, which is from Ben. Thanks so much, Ben. What about Beal and Booker? They have to be.
Traded. Yeah.
They have to be traded. They probably do.
Beal said he's not. Beal said he's not. He doesn't want to get traded, and he has a no trade clause.
Well, they're already looking for trades.
They're already looking. Yeah. I actually don't think Bill's going to be there next year.
Yeah. And then Booker will be though. I think they want to keep Booker, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I suspect, if Beal, hey, like we want to send you to the Lakers, I think he would probably go there, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think he would take that.
He likes LA. He works out here in the summer, so it's like I bet you there's some certain situations he would have no problem turning down his no trade clause for.
Okay.
Yeah. He's playing in the places where he wouldn't want to be. He knows what that's like, right? So, but he's that's where he is now in a way, right? So you want to get out of there, but we'll have to see.
I heard Phoenix is a cool place to live, right?
It's just warm and it's and chill and the people love the players there. Like you're a god when you're walking around in Phoenix.
Really?
All right, let's go to Daniel Cini. What's up, Daniel? Good to see you from Australia. Hey, Coach, I cried grown man tears today at 1 p.m. in Australia. It's such a great defensive team. So Daniel and I have had this long running conversation about the OKC Thunder for years now and like where they are. Can they make it? Can they do it? Oh, no. And congratulations, Daniel. Really, you deserve it. Yeah, you've wrung your hands for a long time over this team, and great to hear that you had a good cry at 1 p.m. Versus the bad cry. So yeah, congratulations.
Dude, I'm happy for all the OKC Thunder, man. I really am. And listen, kudos to I think we should do this. Pacers fans should appreciate Oklahoma City for the season that they had, start to finish. And OKC fans have to appreciate the season the Pacers put together after the All-Star break.
This sounds really good, Chip. I don't think the fans are feeling. I don't think Pacers fans are feeling this way, man.
I know they're not feeling it, and maybe it's just me because I'm trying to be like middle of the road.
You're like a really good guy, Chip. But the Pacers fans,
they don't want to hear it. They don't want to.
They don't want to hear that.
The Pacers fans should feel really good about
they should. They really should feel good about.
No, I agree. I agree with that.
They should feel good about their season. And they can appreciate the fact that OKC had a special team as well.
I mean, how do you? But if you really want to get in their hearts and minds, I mean, maybe they don't feel good after this because it was a really sad ending.
Yeah, they know that Hallie's not back for a long time. So let's not wallow in that. But you're right. A lot of things, a lot of emotions, a lot of it's up and down. But let's get to Cliffside's question. What's the very first lesson taught in a ref school? Chip.
Man, you put me on the spot. I don't know the first lesson. I guess primary coverage area, like learning your primary coverage area and like what you're responsible for on the floor. But the first thing I always teach brand new officials is leave your ego at the door. There's no room for it. It's all about humility, and there's always more to learn. Doesn't matter how long you've done it. There's always more to learn.
Awesome. That's a really great lesson to learn in any thing that you do. Self-made Trillin, thank you so much. Welcome to the conversation. Really appreciate it. Why didn't the Magic trade for KD if he's cheaper than Bane? Ooh. Was it cheaper than Bane? What did they give up? What did they give up for? They gave up
Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks. Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks might be better than those draft picks, right?
Yeah, I mean they're in more quantity, so yeah. But what did Orlando give up?
5 firsts and KCP, right? Or is 4 firsts?
And Cole Anthony.
KCP,
right? Cole Anthony, yeah.
Here it is. So Cole Anthony, KCP, a 2025 first round pick, a 2028 first round pick, 2029 first round pick, and a 30 first round pick with a 2026 as a pick swap. So that's a lot. Now, did the Rockets give up less for that for KD? I mean, KD's older, but he's better.
Same.
So why didn't the Magic? Now I don't know if the Magic want. They can't have KD and Franz and Paolo in the same.
Yeah, positionally doesn't make sense, and also Bane is just younger.
Bane fits what they're trying to do better than KD, in my opinion. Honestly, I really think that with the future in mind, I think Bane is the play.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's the big one because it doesn't fit as a roster. So let's get to our next one. Daniel's back. Thanks so much, Daniel. Always great to have you part of the show. How could you watch these playoffs thinking Embiid could play in games these intense, especially the conference finals and finals? Well, we've seen him gut it out and play hurt in a lot of those games that were like, Eastern Conference Finals and semifinals, right? So and play well. I can't think of him like crapping the bed too much in big games other than being hurt. Am I crazy?
Yeah, no, I think he can play in these level of games. Well, I mean, 7-game series is a little different. I'm just thinking back to the Olympics when they played Jokic in the final, not in the final, the semifinal, and he had like a 5-minute sequence where they inserted him back in the game, and he had some great defensive possessions on Jokic, and then scored as well. And he had to play at that intense level. They were down, so it was a really close. You guys remember that game where that guy missed that 3 in the corner? If he makes that 3, they probably win, and the U.S. goes on to win. But that game was crazy intense, crazy pressure. Yeah. Can Embiid do that for 7 games with how physical? We have to see it, but he has all the ability and skill to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think Embiid's he's just keeps getting hurt. If he can stay healthy, he's a guy you'd want on your team, and I don't see that being an issue. So we'll have to find out. But it's a good call about Philly because if they can't put it together, then it's a shame. And now Paul George would be part of a couple of those kind of teams that kept breaking down. So we'll see. But you got to be a little bit worried about how they're training. And what their advice is, stuff like that, and what that.
And also, if you're Philly, right, do you keep the pick or do you trade it?
Ooh.
Like everyone,
What
like
number pick do
Chip,
they have?
Combo, Coach. Do you trade the? They have the third pick.
Third. All right. Yeah.
Based off
I keep it
the
and take
season.
I keep it and take Concanupo.
Okay, so you take Con.
Wow.
Okay,
You think he's going to go third?
He's going top
that's
5.
high. Oh.
All right. I will be pleasantly surprised if he lives up to that hype.
What do you think, Chris?
What I would have to think what like Daryl Morey would do. I would probably lean towards if he's looking at okay, Halliburton's injured, these guys are injured. The window is right now.
Yeah.
If I'm Morey, I'm probably going to trade it just to secure, just in case one of these guys get injured. I have another piece that could probably help with whatever person goes down.
Yeah.
So
And they
I
need it.
think
They need
towards
a
trading.
player. They're a player short. You know, Jeremy
Yeah,
Green's coming back. I think is he back for the beginning of the season? Do you remember?
he should be.
Um,
Right? It was what was it? It wasn't it wasn't a meniscus. It was ACL, right? Or a
I
meniscus.
want to say it was ACL.
Yeah.
I think it was AC. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think he tore his ACL.
So, but they're like a player short. And I think you're right. I think Morey would have some notion of I can get a known quantity versus a completely unknown quantity. It might take a couple of years to develop. I'll take the known quantity. So, but the draft is on Wednesday, right?
Yes.
Yes,
So-
it's Wednesday and Thursday. It's 2 days.
Yeah. So if they don't, but the third pick is on Wednesday, so they better figure it out
Yeah.
if you do that. I wonder. But hey, we've seen it happen. I think in the last second deals that happen right before the draft. So we'll have to find that out. But I think that covers it for all these super chats, right? There's another one.
We've got one more, but of course it's a ref question. Yeah.
Yeah, self-made Trillin, thanks so much again for another super chat. Really appreciate it. How would you ref players being rough with Caitlin Clark?
Like
This may be an
By that, by the way, Chip.
I'll answer that. Like you would
Yeah,
ref
go.
anybody. Like you ref anybody else.
Dude, you literally took the words out of my mouth. I said, I'm just going to keep it real with you. I would ref it the same exact way I would ref everybody else.
My favorite Jay-Z quote ever. All right.
Yeah, like
Yeah, Coach Nick, you messed me up, man.
I
Go
thought
ahead.
you were already. For some reason, I thought you were all right. Go ahead.
No, I always knew I was a prophet, but I couldn't find a decent job. Go ahead.
That's a great quote.
Okay. The point about Caitlin Clark, though, is ref her like everybody else. Like if there's a flagrant foul, you call the flagrant foul. But I do feel like they're targeting her more so than others, and it's frustrating.
So call it.
Yeah.
That's the thing is just call it. So I mean, what we try to do as officials, and this goes for every level of basketball. There's sometimes that you can allow physical play, but when physical goes to rough play, you have to nip it. You got to get it out of the game. Right, as an official. Does it mean that rough plays aren't still going to happen? Yes, they're still going to happen because just because we call fouls doesn't mean we can stop them from having a rough play. But then when they do happen again, you penalize it accordingly. So that's the way you try to get it out of the game. So we always say physicality, if it turns from physicality to rough play, then we got to get it. If it stays at physicality, then we can manage the margins. You know what I mean? Like it's basically, is there disadvantage, advantage, stuff like that. But when it gets to rough play, we got to get it out of the game.
Yeah, I agree. Go ahead, Chris.
Just real quick, I'm halfway joking, but I would ref her like Jordan, and anytime you touch her, I'm calling it. Any little ticky tack, I'm calling everything. Just
Nick,
because.
what do you think about that, Coach? What do you think about that statement?
I mean, listen, having as a Jordan fan growing up in that era and having to hear all that, and then also know how much he was manhandled and like beaten up on as well. I'm conflicted.
There's those videos where like we love you, Mike. Oh, you're the best, Mike. Like the refs are saying stuff like that. You've seen those videos.
That video, he was just
wait. What is the exact quote? What did he tell him?
It was something like, "All right,
I believe you.
I believe you, Mike. I believe you."
I believe you, but
No, but listen, dude. But that's funny because I use similar stuff with people I disagree with all the time. It's basically like, if what you say happened, then you're right. It's my bad. But I'm thinking to myself, but what you think happened actually didn't happen.
Yeah, right.
So that was said in jest.
I don't know. I don't know about that, Chip. I mean, I believe you're speaking your truth. I don't know if that happened.
Yeah, but I don't think what you heard in that is indicative of anything that the referees were giving him.
I love you, Mike.
Right.
I believe you.
But anyway,
he patted on the back.
I just
know, like,
you're the GOAT, Mike. You're the greatest.
But no, just because if the money that's been influxed with Caitlin Clark in the league, right? She's box office. So whatever, if I'm a ref, if the league is doing good, then that means
Yeah.
I'm doing good. So
Yeah,
I need to make sure she's as successful as possible so that
right. That's my concern. The cheap shots
exactly.
cause injuries. And I showed that in the last Caitlin Clark, which did really well, where, if you're going to come up behind her and nail her when she's not looking and her neck, it's whatever. We saw Markieff Morris, basically his career was basically ended by Jokic. No one ever says that, but he was playing
That's
a
true.
lot. He was effective as a player. And then from that point on, he barely played any other minutes for a long, and he was injured for a long time after that. And that could happen. And now we don't have, ratings. We don't have the stuff. And she is as good as like Steph Curry. It was
Yeah.
that. And so I'm just frustrated that like there's a pettiness to what they're doing here.
That's so weird.
And
It's
I have
so
to
weird.
tell-
She's not even the best player in the WNBA. How is she Steph Curry?
Because she's box office. People go to see her.
Oh,
she's like
that's
top
people go to see her.
5.
oh yeah, but you can't say she's Steph Curry.
Well, Steph Curry is box office, right? People
Yeah,
fill the arena just to watch
She's
him.
like Trae Young right now.
Her role on the offense.
Trae Young is nice. Don't underrate Trae Young.
She's.
I see what you did there. You tried. I see what you did there, Combo.
What'd I do?
Trae Young is nice, but I think you devalued Caitlin when you said that.
Well, in terms of notoriety, she's way bigger than Trae.
Yeah,
for
but if you're
basketball.
looking at
I'm just talking about as a basketball player. She's probably Trae Young level in the WNBA.
I think her impact's even greater for her team at the WNBA.
Okay.
Yep.
And part of it is because no one else is really doing what she's doing, right? They don't really have someone that can pull from 40 off the dribble like she does.
Really, the discussion centers around the box office thing that Chris said, what she's brought to the league and the exposure that she's brought to the league. But then it brings up the biggest part of this whole debate is this. Fans always talk about integrity from officials. They want consistency and they want integrity and stuff like that. But yet some of those same fans are still saying that that Caitlin Clark should get preferential treatment because she's the biggest draw in the WNBA. I don't get it. You know what I mean? Do you want your officials to be
So you don't get what Chris is saying, because that's exactly what Chris said.
No, I'm talking about
joking, but
I'm talking about fans. I'm talking about fans in general. Is like like fans in general. They always talk about how they want the refs to be above it and treat everybody fairly and be consistent and treat everybody the same way. But then when we talk about this discussion about Caitlin Clark, the biggest center of that debate is like, do we really want them to protect her? If by protect you mean give her preferential treatment, then the answer for me is no.
Do you guys believe that the players hate on Caitlin Clark?
Yes, I do believe
no,
that.
it's obvious, but it's dumb because it's limiting them from making more money. The goal should be making more money for the WNBA. You guys weren't flying private jets before she got here. She gets here, you guys are flying private jets. Like, I don't get it.
Let's not hurt her.
Yeah,
that's true. That too.
That's all I'm saying. You can take hard foul, get her off her rhythm, whatever. Like that's all, whatever. But like these are cheap shots. These are things that, and then when they happen, no one's like, "Oh, are you all right?" Whatever. Like they're like, "Yeah, you take that," And it's like,
it's like if she doesn't play, you guys aren't. She's literally playing in NBA arenas. Like,
you are right
because the crowds are that big. I just don't get it. Like she plays, you guys make more money.
Yeah.
Like, what is the? Why are we trying to get her out the game?
I'll tell you this because it's a hot topic, right? I'll tell you this. The reason why they do it is not because Combo says this all the time or references this all the time, and you guys do as well. Players are emotional people, right? Like they're into the game. Like that's the same argument we make when players argue with a ref about a call. When Luka argues, it's always got passion for the game. He cares a lot, this, that, and the other. When they're in that moment, they're not thinking about the cash cow that Caitlin Clark is. I know what they're thinking about? They're thinking about Caitlin Clark, and I'm sorry to do this, devil's advocate here, but Caitlin Clark just taunted the crap out of me. How do you want me to respond? You know what I mean? So she gets just listen. Two things can be true at once. They could target her. They could be targeting her, and they could also be just upset that she taunts them because she does taunt them.
Or is she taunting them because they're getting their cheap shots?
But both happen. But it could be a result of the other. But I'm just saying that that's part of it, and that's why as officials we have to mitigate that. That's why we shouldn't allow taunting, and we can't allow rough play as a result.
All right. Well, let's look at I think this is going to be our last one because we're already getting long in the tooth here. But hey, it's our last show. Edwin, and it's not really our last show. Don't forget, we'll be back this summer. Don't worry. But Edwin Felix, it says, and thank you so much, Edwin. Really, really appreciate it. Yeah. Today was the first and last time I go on X to see what NBA fans think. I wish I could do that. Maybe this channel really is for enjoyers of the game, and I wanted to show my support at the end of this great season. Well, thank you so much, Edwin. And great, really, the conversation on YouTube has always been fantastic. Even back, you know what's weird is that a lot of people on YouTube used to feel like the comment section was like what Twitter is now. But it was never that way for my channel. For whatever reason, those comments were always germane and they were always like respectful, and we had a great conversation going. And then something morphed, and like now, whatever the bad part about what I used to hear about YouTube before is now over on Twitter. And I agree. I think that it's a very vocal few that are making it really bad. And it seems like it's a lot of people when it's really not. You know what I mean? I'll have people saying, everyone's dunking on you. Da, da, da. And I'm like, it really is like 4 people who keep responding. No, it's not. I'm like, yeah, it really is. Because look how many likes I got in the original post. Anyway, so I hear you, Edwin. And we just need to be better. We need to figure out how to do it. I don't know how, but it makes Twitter unbearable. Chris, are you even on Twitter?
Oh yeah, I'm on Twitter.
Twitter guy, man. He's the space. He's the spaces guy.
Well, not so much anymore.
Coach, you don't even know who's in your shows.
I know. Well, I never see Chris on Twitter. Maybe we never have.
Chris is a Twitter Spaces savant.
No. I follow Chris on Twitter. Don't know.
Yeah.
Everybody follows Chris on Twitter.
All right, I'll go find it. And I'll do it. Somebody else.
I need to.
All right, great show, guys.
Yes, Combo, you gotta go to bed. I gotta go to bed. It's getting late here. Anyway, awesome season, awesome year, everybody out there. Thank you so much for being such a great part of the audience, and you guys for being part of the show. We could not get this done without you. Really, really appreciate you. Look forward to it, in fact, every time we get a chance to hang out.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Well, thank you to everybody that contributed to, like in the comments and chats, man. Honestly, it's great to see y'all super chats come in and answer your questions, man. I've really enjoyed this playoff run.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Cliff and Braun and everybody, Andrew, all the usual suspects and all the new people too. Forgive me, Dave and Ben. There's a lot of guys out there. We can't mention them all, but again, we'll be back really soon. Probably at some point we're doing Summer League, which is going to be a couple weeks. So don't go anywhere and stay tuned I'll squeeze out a breakdown before I get out of here on Wednesday, and please watch it a couple times. And don't forget, sports fans, at P-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You in? Are you in, guys?
Yes, sir.
Always, baby.